Welcome to Southside Garage and welcome to part 5 of the Harley Burnout bike. So it's a haircut day for the old Sporty. We're going to be chopping out all the wires that we don't need anymore. Get rid of all of this and not really looking forward to it, to be honest with you, but we'll make a start. And I think the first thing we're going to do is cut back all of this here, expose all the wiring, and we'll figure out what we're going to keep and what we're not going to keep, and then we'll start snipping some wires. So this is where we're up to now. Trimmed all the wiring. The battery box is back on. The belt guard is on. The wiring, this is the last bit to do up the front here. Those little idiot lights that normally bolt onto the top triple clamp there. I've moved them down to there where the headlight mount is, just in case I get a set of T-bars. I'll be able to put those on, and I'm thinking that that's what I'll use for ignition light and the oil light. It's just those little lights there. So once I get that sorted, then I'll just clean this stuff here up at the front, and we'll be done there. So we've got the rear guard to go on. I just got to weld a nut onto the back of the mud guard so that you can take it on and off through this mount here without having to try and get your hand under there to hold the back of the nut and so on. I'll just weld it onto the guard, and then we'll try it on. We might even cut a little bit off it yet, around about where that tail light is. Snip it off there, but we'll work that out once we get it up there and have a look. So we're getting close. So if anybody's got a set of T-bars that they don't want anymore, give us a yell. I've got a battery ordered. Go in there. And we're almost up to the stage where we'll have a look at that front brake. I did do the petcock mod. Sorry, I didn't show you that while I was doing it. But it's basically you just pull the vacuum side of the petcock apart, and you take the spring, which is on the outside, on the inside of the petcock valve there. You take it from the outside and you put it on the inside, and that holds the diaphragm open instead of vacuum holding it open. The only problem with that is if you ever get a tear in your one of your diaphragms in there, then you're going to leak oil out of the little pipes there that went to the vacuum. But next time the tank comes off, I'll get some super glue, and I'll glue those little holes up and glue rubber caps onto them as well. And that way, if the diaphragm ever perforates in there, it won't matter. It's not going to leak fuel out anywhere. But that's the problem with those things. If they perforate a diaphragm and you've got it hooked up to your carby, then instead of the vacuum line creating vacuum to hold the petcock open, what it's doing then is it's sucking all the fuel that's leaking past the diaphragm straight into your carby. So, if you've got a CV carby and it starts running real rich at idle and blowing a heap of black smoke and so on, that's normally what's wrong, is the diaphragm's got a little tear or a hole in it, and it's just allowing the carby to draw way too much fuel in I don't like them at all, but next time I take the tank off, I'm actually going to get rid of the diaphragm and everything out of the petcock, and I'm just going to make a blanking plate out of 8mm aluminium and bolt that onto the back of the petcock, and I'll get rid of the diaphragms altogether, and I'll just have a normal petcock then. Either that, or you can just go online and buy one from China for $25, just a normal on-off and reserve petcock. You can still buy them. I just sprayed a bit of CRC lubricating oil over it. Obviously she was a little bit rusty and so on. So it'll soak that up in no time, and I'll give it a wipe down, and a lot of that mould will come off when I wipe it down too, possibly tomorrow sometime. So yeah, next is the mudguard. We'll get that sorted and bang the seat on it. Hopefully the battery should be here this week sometime. And then we just need to get front brake working. And then we can take it down the road and test it out. Just another quick walk around to show you where we're up to. I got into that penetrating oil with some Scotch-Brite, and it just took the rust clean off those fork legs and the handlebars and everything else I rubbed with it. Done a good job. We've got the lights working up here. We've got neutral light and an oil light. So that's all I need, neutral light to tell me we've got ignition and so on. So that's all good. Gave the engine a little bit of a clean up. The mufflers came up really nice too. They were really badly rusty, and didn't take long, just rubbing it with the Scotch-Brite and some of that penetrating oil, and the rust just came straight off. I'm going to cut this mudguard back where that yellow line is. We did the wheels too. We gave them a quick rub down. Got a lot of that rust off there. Still a bit to do. Take this clutch cable off and lubricate it. Same with the throttle cables and the throttle itself. I'll get that off, and I'll Scotch-Brite the handlebars underneath the throttle there. Just make sure it's moving nice and freely. Yeah, I've got to tidy this wiring up now. Now I've figured out the wires that I need and so on, so I can tidy that up. Front brake we still need to get working. Fuel tank's pretty much ready to go, so I'll be able to put fuel in now and run it for a bit longer and so on, instead of like bottle feeding the carby with that little bottle there. I still need to get a couple of blanking caps and blank off those vacuum ports on the petcock there, just in case we have a diaphragm failure. It's not going to drop fuel out onto a hot engine. So we'll get that done. The vacuum advance, I don't know that I explained that at all in previous videos, but we're running a vacuum advance so we can start the engine in a retard mode. And they start a lot easier and oil on that nicely when they're in the retard. but as soon as we give it some gas, we want to see about 35 degrees of advance. So I'm just hoping that vacuum advance stuff is going to work. The solenoid that sends the signal to the ignition module is actually adjustable, so you can get 35 degrees of advance at 2,000 RPM if you want, or 3,000, 4,000, whatever. You can adjust that to whatever rev range you want before you get 35 degrees of advance. So basically what we'll do there to test all that is we'll get a timing light and bang the timing light on it. We should see, close to top dead center at idle, and then we start giving it some gas. We should see 35 degrees of advance on the timing marks. So we can check that a bit later on. Still waiting on the battery, obviously. But that's cool, we've got a few things to do first anyway. So we're getting there. Oh yeah, so as well as T-bars and front brakes, I also need probably a new drive belt. I think that one will snap fairly early in the piece, considering it's probably a little bit rotten and so on, sitting out in the weather for so long. But that's pretty much what we're up to. So we'll crack on and get those couple of jobs done. Okay guys, we might wrap it up there, wrap up part 5, and stay tuned for part 6. Thanks for watching.